Woman branded a traitor for saving two. Baby Bigfoots, but the truth in the forest shocked. Everyone shouts and pounding footsteps tore through the night. Torchlight flickered wildly, casting fierce shadows across the villagers' faces. Clara, her skin bluish with cold, clutched two small creatures tightly in her arms. They trembled, their wide black eyes glistening, clinging to her, like their only hope for life. She betrayed the village she harbors monsters, someone screamed. Ahead, the deep forest opened into the endless snow, the place legends called the Forbidden Land where Bigfoot was said to dwell. A step forward meant death, but to turn back meant those two little lives would face execution. Clara choked her breath, ragged, her hands trembling as she held on tighter. She bit her lip hard and forced herself to step into the woods. How did she end up in such a desperate place? The story began on one fateful winter night. Before we go on, leave the name of your city in the comments, and at the end, remember to rate this story from 0 to 10. Clara's life. Clara was 52, a widow who lived in a weathered hut at the edge of a mountain village. Her only son had perished in the forest, believed to be a victim of the beast of the deep woods. From then on, the villagers looked at her with suspicion and distance. That winter night, the wind screamed snow battered the cabin walls as if to crush them. Clara sat alone by the fireplace, her frail shadow hunched in silence. She never imagined that night. A faint cry would change her entire life. Part 1. The Cry in the Trap. The winter wind shrieked through the cliffs, snow thick as a white wall. Clara carried a basket of firewood, dragging her weary steps back to her cabin. Suddenly, a strange sound rose above the storm, faint, shrill, almost like the cry of a child. She froze, her heart tightening. From the blackness of the forest, the crying echoed, sometimes fading, sometimes rising again like a call for help. Step by step, Clara followed, each foot sinking deep into the snow. The oil lamp in her hand wavered, its glow flashing across streaks of red blood splattered on the ground. And then she saw it. A steel trap, half buried, clamped tightly around two furry legs. Two small beings cowered, shivering. One was limp, breathing heavily, the other shielding it with trembling arms. Clara jolted, nearly dropping her lamp. Bigfoot, but still young, only reaching her waist. Blood stained the snow, their cries broken and weak. In her mind echoed the village curse. Whoever saves them, their entire family will be cursed with vengeance. Her hands shook uncontrollably. Leave them or save them. She looked into their large black eyes, shimmering with terror and desperate pleading. And in that instant, the memory of her lost son flooded back. Without another thought, she knelt down and broke the trap's lock. The iron screeched, blood spurted. Clara winced but gathered both beings into her arms. They were heavy, their fur soaked, but she held on and staggered into a run. Behind her, the forest howled as though bearing witness to a decision that would change everything. Part 2. The Curse and the Firelight. The small cabin was filled with the warmth of the hearth. Clara laid the two beings on a woolen rug, quickly boiled water, and tore old clothes into strips for bandages. Her hands were soaked in blood, but she did not stop. One whimpered softly, eyes half closed, its frail hand brushing against her finger. Clara froze, her heart tightening. She poured warm goat's milk into a wooden spoon and held it to their lips. At first they resisted, but hunger soon overcame fear. They swallowed eagerly, drop after drop. The firelight cast three shadows on the wall, a thin, gray-haired woman and two small creatures, strange yet somehow familiar. Outside, the wind howled, but more frightening than the storm were the whispers. A hunter had found blood in the snow and cried out, "There are signs of the beasts in the forest, they will come back to kill." The villagers murmured and gossiped. The echo of suspicion drifted toward Clara's ears. She knew that if they ever discovered the truth, neither she nor the little ones would be spared. But when she turned, she saw them trembling, pressing close against her legs for warmth. Slowly, carefully, they crawled nearer, curling against her like frightened children. Clara bent down and whispered, her voice gentle and trembling, "Don't be afraid. Mama is here." The fear of the outside world faded. Only the instinct to protect them filled her heart. Part 3. A light in the dark house days passed. The wounds began to heal, their breathing grew stronger. And slowly, the cabin changed. The two little Bigfoots toddled around, touching everything. They mimicked Clara, folding clothes, striking matches, even copying the sound of her cough. They pounced on the old cat, making its fur bristle, then burst into giggles. That sound, innocent, pure laughter, brought tears to Clara's eyes. In them, she saw the shadow of her lost son. Silent meals now rang with chatter. She began to teach them slowly, tenderly. This is water. This is bread. Their eyes lit up. They patted their chests, trying to repeat the words. But joy was short-lived. One afternoon, while Clara washed clothes at the stream, the little ones played in the yard. A hunter passing by stopped cold, his eyes wide, his catch slipping from his hand. Within an hour, the rumor spread like fire. Clara hides monsters. That night, torchlight flared at the forest's edge. Clara stood inside her cabin, clutching the two little beings, her heartbeat pounding like war drums as footsteps gathered and thundered toward her home. Part 4. The fire of hatred. Fists pounded against the cabin door, shaking the whole house. It felt as if the little place would shatter apart. The mob roared outside, their voices sharp as knives. Open the door. Clara stopped hiding them. Clara clutched the two baby Bigfoots to her chest. They screamed in terror, their claws digging into her shoulders. She whispered through trembling lips, "Hush now. Mama will not let them hurt you." The door burst open. The crowd stormed in like a wild pack, torches, blazing blades flashing. A burly man grabbed Clara, throwing her to the floor. Rope bit into her wrists as he tied her down. Two others pried the children from her arms. Their cries ripped through the night, black eyes shining with tears fixed on Clara, even as they were dragged away. A heavy iron cage was hauled forward. The little ones were thrown inside. They trembled, clutching the bars, small hands reaching out in desperate plea. The mob stomped and roared. Kill them, avenge the lives taken in the forest. Blood must be paid with blood. A hunter flung fresh animal blood across the snow, splattering crimson against the white like a mark of vengeance. The crowd chanted as one kill, kill, kill torchlight burned across their twisted faces, warped with hatred like demons in the dark. Clara thrashed, her voice breaking, "They're only children. Please, look at them. They've harmed no one." But her cries vanished in the storm of rage. An old woman stepped forward, her face lined with grief. Her fingers shook as she pointed at Clara. "My son died in the forest. It was them who took him, and you dare defend them." All eyes turned toward Clara, blazing with fury. They dragged her across the snow wrists, bound her face, struck the ground. Blood trickled from her mouth. But worse than pain was the sight of the two little ones shivering in the cage, eyes wide wet with tears never leaving hers. Her heart shattered. Torches flared higher, blades raised. A man shouted, "At dawn we'll take their heads before the village. No one will dare shelter monsters again." Clara shut her eyes in despair, but then her son's voice echoed in memory. "Mother, don't abandon anyone when they are weak." Her eyes opened. A spark of resolve glimmered. Late that night, as the mob drank and drifted into slumber, Clara lay tied in the corner, blood at her lips. She bit down on the rope. The bitter taste of hemp burned in her mouth, blood spilled, until at last, snap, the rope broke. She collapsed, gasping, then crawled toward the cage. The guard slumped against a post, snoring, reeking of liquor. Clara tossed a stone across the camp. The sound stirred him. He turned away. She reached the lock with trembling hands, pulled hard click. The door sprang open. The children rushed into her arms, sobbing. Their tears blurred her sight. "Hurry now, we must leave," she whispered, clutching them to her chest. But the sudden barking of hounds broke the night. A shout rang out. "They're escaping after them." Torches flared again. Clara ran her breath, ragged sweat cold on her brow. Snow clawed at her legs as voices and dogs roared behind. She stumbled, fell into the snow, yet rose again, clutching the little ones tight. Her frail body screamed, but her will blazed bright. Step after step, every breath a knife in her chest. Still, she did not stop. The forest swallowed them whole. Clara knew only one place remained, the forbidden land where no villager dared tread. Behind her, firelight still chased. Ahead, thick fog opened like a curtain, hiding a darker fate. Part 5. The Forbidden Land. Clara dragged herself step by step through the deep snow. Her legs felt like stone, her breath cut her lungs like knives. The two little ones clung to her neck, their wide black eyes trembling as if they too sensed the danger closing in. Behind them, the torches of the villagers faded into the distance. But instead of relief, Clara felt a strange, heavy silence. The trees loomed like towering sentinels. The snow fell slower, the air thick as though the forest itself was holding its breath. Then it came. A roar split the night so vast it shook the heavens. The ground trembled. Ice cracked and splintered. The cry rolled across the mountains, echoing like 1,000 spirits wailing all at once. Clara collapsed to her knees, clutching the children to her chest. Her whole body trembled. Oh Lord, this is the end. From the fog, massive shapes emerged one by one. Eyes glowed red like burning embers piercing the storm. White breath poured from their mouths, thick as smoke swirling in the frozen air. Enormous hands raked the snow, leaving deep claw marks like those of beasts. One roared again. The sound shook the trees' snow, cascading down in heavy sheets. The others answered their voices, rising together until the whole forest thundered. In Clara's eyes, the legend had come alive. The bloodthirsty monsters, the killers of men. The circle closed in. 20, 30, then more. Dozens of burning eyes stared down at her. Clara bowed, tears streaming down her face. She whispered, "If death must come, take me. Just spare them." At that moment, the two little ones broke free from her arms. They screamed, rushing forward. "No, come back to Mama," she cried. But it was too late. They flung themselves toward the giants. Two towering Bigfoots knelt down. Instead of striking, they stretched out their arms and gathered the children close. The roar that followed was no longer savage. It was deep, steady, like an ancient lullaby rising from the earth itself. The tribe fell silent. Even the wind ceased. The little ones whimpered softly in the arms of their parents. Clara lifted her tear-streaked face, unbelieving. From the ranks, the chieftain stepped forward. A massive figure, snow clinging to his broad shoulders. Each step cracked the frozen ground, scattering ice. Closer he came, 10 steps. 5. 3. His eyes were dark, endless as a chasm. Clara trembled, holding her breath, waiting for the fatal strike. She cried out, her voice breaking, "If blood is needed, take mine, only spare them." The world held still. The tribe watched in silence, waiting for their leader's command, but instead of striking, he stopped, and slowly, solemnly, he bowed his head. Not a threat, but a gesture of gratitude. Clara froze, stunned. All her life she had heard the tales Bigfoot kills. Bigfoot curses. Whoever saves them will be destroyed. Yet in his eyes she saw no hatred, only sorrow and deep, silent thanks. She whispered through tears, "The legend was wrong. Or maybe once there was tragedy, but we have feared you wrongly all these years." The chieftain's gaze seemed to confirm it. Fear had twisted the truth into darkness. Another tribesman stepped forward, holding a branch carved smooth, shining under the moonlight. He placed it at Clara's feet, bowed, then returned to his place. No words, no roar, only a sacred offering gratitude. One by one, the tribe turned away. Dozens of giants faded into the mist. Their heavy footsteps echoed, then vanished, leaving behind a silence, pure and absolute. Clara stood frozen, her heart trembling. She alone had seen the truth. The village would never believe Bigfoot were not demons, but a people hidden, protective, capable of thankfulness. At dawn, the villagers gathered at the forest's edge, but Clara was gone. In the snow remained only enormous footprints leading into the deep woods. To them it was proof she had been taken by monsters. The legend grew darker still, but the truth was different. In her small cabin, Clara sat by the fire, her face pale and weary, yet calm. On the mantel lay the carved branch, glowing like a sacred keepsake. The sound of children's laughter no longer filled her home. Yet her heart held a strange peace, for she alone carried the truth. Legends may be fed by hatred, but truth belongs to compassion. That night, Clara had chosen kindness over fear, and sometimes the legends we cling to are nothing more than shadows of our own hate. The truth is something else. If you believe in the miracle of compassion, share this story. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next one.